have everything in stock for both latest and ordinary Mazda and Ford. They also stock service parts such as diesel filters, aircon filters, diesel pumps, steering pumps, turbochargers, engine overhaul gaskets, suspension parts, and body parts. If they don't have parts you're looking for, they can order within 5 to 10 working days. To top it up, Shuma Auto Parts also supply Maxxis tires and CST tires.
Really? Where are they found?
They are found on Chandram Sonda Road, Cruiser Auto Workshop in Lusaka. Call on 0979 192057 and 0960 747235. Email shumaautoparts@gmail.com. Shuma Auto Parts for all your genuine vehicle parts.
The happy world of 5FM Radio, your adult contemporary radio station in Zambia, connecting you to the newsmakers and events that make news in the global village.
Good evening. This is the 5FM main news at 18:30 with Judith Mwape. The headlines. Cabinet approves the hosting of the Zambia Land Investment in Saka. Bank releases over $233 million for construction of schools in Western Province. Ghana's Finance Ministry warns against anti-LGBTQ bill. And now the news in detail. Cabinet has approved the hosting of the Mining and Investment Conference, dubbed the Zambia Mining and Investment in Saka 2024, to be held in September 2024 under the theme Mining Beyond Copper. Chief Government Spokesperson Cornelius Mwetwa has said in a statement that the hosting of the Zambia Mining and Investment in Saka will provide a platform for government and stakeholders to come together and engage on various pertinent issues affecting the sector with a view of arriving at amicable solutions favorable to all parties. Mr. Mwetwa, who is also Information and Media Minister, says the conference will also support government's diversification agenda from copper to other minerals, also supports the National Geological Mapping Program government is implementing in line with the Earth National Development Plan. He says that the expected benefits of the INSACA also include increased investment in mining generally, with increased employment opportunities created as well as increased government revenue. Cabinet has approved for publication and introduction in Parliament the Matrimonial Causes Amendment Bill of 2024 so as to amend the Matrimonial Causes Act of 2007 and revise the grounds on which a marriage is considered to be void. Mr. Mwetwa says the Matrimonial Causes Act of 2007 is inconsistent with the provisions of the Children's Code Act of 2022, which prohibits child marriage, as well as the Marriage Act, which also renders a marriage between persons, either of whom is a child, as void. The World Bank, through the Zambia Enhanced Education Project and the Zambia Early Education Learning in the Ministry of Education, has released over $233 million for the construction of 22 secondary schools and 72 early childhood education centers in Western Province. Ministry of Education Permanent Secretary for Administration, Noriana Muneku, revealed the development during the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of Usha Day Secondary School in Limulungu district in Western Province. Ms. Mneko says the 22 secondary schools are part of the 120 secondary schools that government is constructing countrywide, while the 72 early childhood education centers are part of the 440 facilities being established in 45 districts countrywide. She says of the 440 early childhood education facilities, 110 are early childhood education hub centers and 330 are satellite centers. The permanent secretary explains that Western Province will receive centers and 54 satellite centers in 7 districts, adding that the project will not only build schools and ECE facilities, but also equip them with desks, laboratories, home economics equipment, learning materials, as well as textbooks. She says the secondary schools and ECE facilities under the 2 projects are being constructed using community mode of construction in order to empower communities. The Choma Subordinate Court has convicted and sentenced an engineer at the Ministry of Water Development and a director of Kalomo Construction Company to 12 months imprisonment each with hard labor for corrupt practices. In presiding over the matters, Honorable Mupemo found that the prosecution had proved their cases beyond all reasonable doubt and convicted the accused persons as charged and sentenced each to 12 months imprisonment with hard labor. ACC Head of Corporate Communications, Timothy Mono, has said in a statement that the sentence for each of the convicts will run concurrently, starting from the date of conviction. Mr. Mono said an engineer at Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation of Lusaka, Titus Mukwamba, aged 41, has been convicted on 5 counts of corrupt practices by public officer, contrary to the Anti-Corruption Act No. 38 of 2010. Meanwhile, Mr. Mono has disclosed that Director of Kalomo Construction Company of Livingston, Oliver Mulimo, aged 46, has been convicted on 3 counts of corrupt practices with the Public Act No. 38 of 2010. The Commission in October 2021 arrested and charged Titus Mukwamba and Oliver Mulimo for corrupt practices. The Zambian non-government organization WASH Forum has submitted that Parliament drops a proposal to include district commissioners in the Constituency Development Fund Committee. The proposal to include the District Committee is in Part 2, Clause 4J of the Constituency Development Fund Amendment Bill NAB number 21 of 2023. But Zambia NGO WASH Forum observes that while it is true that the head of the civil service at the district level holds greater stake in district development, DCs have often been considered controversial figures given their appointment by the president and largely seen as political figures. These came to light when NGO WASH Forum members presented a memorandum to the National Assembly of Zambia Committee on Local Governance, Housing and Chiefs Affairs, and Committee on the Local Government Accounts on ramifications of the Constituency Development Fund Amendment Bill NAB number 21 of 2023. The forum, through Chama Mundia, submitted that district commissioners will likely carry a bigger voice and consequently overwhelm and unlevel the CDF committee playing field.
District commissioners have been considered controversial figures given their appointment by the president and largely seen as political figures. District commissioners will unlevel the CDF committee playing ground, and as they will carry a bigger voice and consequently overwhelm and silence the opposing voices in the CDF committee.
Opposition Socialist Party has appealed to President Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND government to cancel the International Monetary Fund IMF deal. Speaking at a media briefing today, Party Deputy General Secretary Antonio Mwanza says the IMF hostility conditionalities and structure adjustments are making people lose their employment and worsening the cost of living. Hence, the only solution to these challenges is for the government to cancel the IMF deal. Mr. Mwanza charges that the UPND administration is leading the country irredeemable path because of its deals with the IMF and the World Bank. Mr. Mwanza states that the government has no control over the country's economy, resources, and policies. He notes that Zambia has been on 13 IMF deals since 1973 to date, and yet no IMF deal has helped uplift the economic status of the country. He has also urged government to cancel the mine taxes they have given to foreign mining firms, claiming that the country is losing over 3 billion kwacha annually as a result of the tax holidays.
13 from 1973 to date, no IMF deal has helped. It has created poverty, joblessness, and despair in the people. We therefore appeal to the conscience of President Hakainde Sami Hichilema and call upon him and his government to cancel the IMF deal. The austerity measures, the conditionalities that have been put, the structure adjustment is squeezing the people out of employment, is squeezing the people out of liquidity, and it is worsening the cost of living. Therefore, there is no any other solution but for the government to cancel the IMF deal.
Now the story is trending this afternoon. Public health expert Cosmas Zambo has described as unfortunate the revelation by the Zambia Police Service that some unscrupulous have been Millimil and maize bran destined for Sinazeze area of Sinazongwe district. Zambia Army Deputy Commander and Chief of Staff Geoffrey Ziele says the Army has the directive by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Hage Hichilema, to modernize its operations. Up next, the business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
Labour and Social Security Minister Brenda Tambatamba has urged the Federation of Free Trade Unions of Zambia, FFTUZ, to sensitize its members on the importance of social dialogue in fostering productivity and socio-economic development. Ms. Tambatamba has encouraged the union to expand its reach to international organizations such as the International Labour Organization so as to leverage on the program that could benefit both the organization and affiliates. Speaking during a courtesy call by the FTU's national executive, the minister called on the unions and other Zambian entities to ensure prudent management of resources as the country deals with challenges such as the debt mountain. She says the workers and every citizen are affected by the debt situation, hence the need for prudent utilization of the resources before them.
Here that formulated the federation that federates. So I always believed and still believe in federations must demonstrate and show us who is the best level, who is the owner of this federation. The owner is the worker who forms that union, Ogaus, who pays teachers union, and so forth. So that is very, very important in order to achieve meaningful collective bargaining for and better conditions of service.
And speaking during the same program, FTU's president, Moyayuwe Kabisa, has noted that workers in the country have a mitigation of the effects of climate change as they are the main implementers of programs.
Therefore, as a federation, positioning ourselves in that direction, have given ourselves a task to come up with a strategic plan that will work towards ensuring that all the facets that feed into industrial democracy, industrial peace, and productivity.
That ends the business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
And now on foreign news, Ghana's advised against a controversial anti-LGBTQ plus bill, saying it could see the West African country lose almost $3.8 billion in World Bank funding over the next 5 years. The draconian bill, which prescribes a 3-year jail term for people who identify as LGBTQ plus and 5 years for promoting their activities, was passed by Parliament last week. The Ministry of Finance has recommended that President Nana Akufo-Addo does not sign the bill into law until the country's Supreme Court rules on whether it aligns with Ghana's constitution or not. Here's a roundup from the BBC.
Ghana's finance ministry has warned President Nana Akufo-Addo against assenting to the controversial LGBT bill passed by Parliament last week. The ministry said the country could lose billions of dollars in World Bank funding over the next 5 to 6 years if the bill becomes law. The US Supreme Court has ruled that Donald Trump can stand as a candidate seeking the Republican Party's presidential nomination in Colorado. The unanimous verdict reverses the Colorado Supreme Court, which had barred Mr. Trump from contesting. It had ruled that his support for the 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol made him ineligible to seek federal office under the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The technology giant Apple has been fined €1.8 billion, or £1.5 billion, for breaking the EU's competition rules. The Commission found that it had unfairly prevented music streaming companies telling iPhone and iPad users that subscriptions may be cheaper outside the Apple App Store.
And finally, in sports news, FIFA has hailed the Football Association of Zambia for the successful launch of the Football for Schools program. In a letter to FAS President Andrew Kamanga, Director FIFA Football for Schools Fatimata Sidibe says the launch of Football for Schools was a resounding success, and it would not have been possible without the close collaboration of the Football Association of Zambia. She called for FAS continued support, being of the view that the Football Association of Zambia could help social change in the country by working on the foundations that were laid with the Football for Schools launch program. The Football for Schools program was launched over the weekend with 50 teachers trained to teach others as the program cascades to the lower levels. 600 primary schools will benefit from the program that involves FAS, Ministry of Education, and their sports counterparts. And now the weather report brought to you by Classic On.
Class Econ Roofing Africa.
Class Econ Roofing, plot 17100 off Katanga Road, 150 meters from Mumbwa Road, Chinika Industrial Area, Lusaka. Class Econ Roofing. Class plus economy.
Class Econ. Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ.
Luapula, Northern and Muchinga provinces, including the northern parts of Northwestern, Eastern and Copperbelt, eastern parts of Central Province, are partly cloudy, slightly windy and mild, with isolated rains and thunder. Western Province, including southern parts of Northwestern Province, are partly cloudy, slightly windy and warm to mild. Southern and Lusaka provinces, including the western parts of Central, southern parts of Eastern and Copperbelt provinces, are partly cloudy, slightly windy and mild, with slight chance of isolated light showers. That ends the weather report.
Class Econ Roofing Africa.
Class Econ Roofing, plot 17100 off Katanga Road, 150 meters from Mumbwa Road, Chinika Industrial Area, Lusaka. Class Econ Roofing. Class plus economy.
Class Econ. Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ.
And that weather report brings us to the end of the news this evening. But before we go, a recap of the top stories. Cabinet approves hosting of the Zambia Mining and Investment in Saka. World Bank releases over $233 million for the construction of schools in Western Province. Ghana's Finance Ministry warns against anti-LGBTQ bill. For more news, follow us on Facebook, 5FM Radio Zambia. On behalf of the entire news crew and the technical department, thank you for listening to Happy Word of 5FM. Stay safe and stay tuned to 5FM Radio. I'm Judith Mwabem. Good evening.